entitled Donkey Sense. Donkey Sense. Matthew chapter 21 and verse 4 declares, all this was done that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet saying, tell ye the daughters of Zion. Notice here Zion is spelled with an S and not a Z. Whenever you see there's an S, is also speaking more of the heavenly Zion. There is one in heaven, there is one on earth. Tell ye the daughters of Zion, behold, thy king cometh unto thee, meek and sitteth upon a donkey and a colt, the foal of a donkey. And the disciples went and did as Jesus commanded them. And they brought the donkey and the colt, and put on them their clothes, and they set him thereon. Quick thing I want for you to see. Lots of time we read this story and we only see one animal, we don't see two. There were two animals. There is the donkey and the colt. And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way. Others cut down branches from the trees and strewed them in the way. And the multitude that went before and that followed cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. And when he was coming to Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, who is this? Who is this? The Palm Sunday entry event can be the most ignored event of the main occasions in Jesus' life. If Palm Sunday had something to say about the combination of history, it would deserve our attention. If Palm Sunday had anything to do with the ultimate act of worship in all history, then it would deserve our attention. If Palm Sunday had something to do with revival that we were praying towards, then it would deserve our attention. If it had something to do with Christ's greater glory in the midst of the movement of praise and prayer, which actually transforms entire cities, then our hope may be anchored in this extravagant outpouring of worship. According to Matthew's Gospel, both a donkey and a colt was used. And while Jesus rode on the colt, it made donkey sense for an older donkey to join the journey as support and guidance for the young colt. And I think it is very significant that while Jesus will have utilized the younger animal, the older animal was there for support, to show him how to tread along the pathway and to give him the support that is needed in what he was doing. Are you there with me? Amen. There is a role for both groups of people in the kingdom. The value of this hard-working animal was one of the only beasts, if I am correct, it is the only beast that has the design of a cross on its back. So Jesus' entry into Jerusalem was using a donkey cross. Now as you know, when he's going to leave Jerusalem, he will carry his own cross to Golgotha Hill, which we will celebrate next week. But I want you to see that his entrance was also on a cross. The only animal that carried his cross or has a cross embedded on its back is a donkey. It made donkey sense, because a donkey was used by Joseph on 100-mile journey to Bethlehem for the birth of Jesus. Donkeys hold a distinction in the Bible as being one of the earliest and most frequently mentioned animal in the text. If I were to use Trinidad language, donkey was the Nissan of the day. You know, when I was growing up in Carapal here, everybody has a transporter, as they say, carry water from the government standpipe, and everybody had a box yacht. The donkey was the box yacht of the day. We find most of the Old Testament great historical events, including donkeys, and are considered reliable helpers, sure-footed on mountain terrain, physically hard in harsh environment, and very strong burden carriers. I am told today we'll hear stories of my father working in the cocoa and coffee estate, and the helper to tread on those hills and corners and valleys and carry the crops will be donkeys. Donkeys is a symbol of industry, peace, and wealth, which made sense. Abraham got up early in the morning to saddle his donkey, a small act, yet one of obedience to the Lord in order to offer Isaac up to sacrifice, Genesis 22. Jacob sent 20 female donkeys and 10 donkey foals as a portion of a great and costly gift to please his brother Esau. He sent donkey because of the sense that it had, the value that donkeys had. And when you give somebody a donkey, it was giving away valuable wealth. Are you there with me? The sons of Jacob traveled to Egypt with donkeys or on donkeys to purchase grain during the great famine. Genesis 42:26. Moses, in his return to Egypt to the Lord's representative to cause Pharaoh to release the Israelites from slavery, placed his wife and children on a donkey to cross the desert. We find this in Exodus chapter 4 and verse 20. In the book of Job, the donkey is one of the 14 animals that the Lord used to illustrate his power and creativity to Job. It made donkey sense to him. There are only 2 animals in the Bible that spoke. The first one was the serpent that spoke to Eve, and the second one was a donkey that spoke to Balaam. The most unforgettable Bible donkey event was when the Lord Jesus Christ himself rode on a donkey colt through the city of Jerusalem as a sign of the entry of their king. Now traditionally, most kings would ride on a white horse or stallion, but Jesus chose to ride on a donkey, the animal of value, the animal of industry that represents wealth, the animal that was common to any people. In other words then, Jesus would represent the common man. This donkey that he rode on was prophesied hundreds of years before the event to fulfill. Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 9. Rejoicing greatly, O daughters of Zion. Shout, O daughters of Jerusalem. Behold, your king cometh upon thee. He is just and having what? Salvation. Lowly and riding upon a donkey and upon a colt or the foal of a donkey. So we find evidence here in the book of Zechariah where this prophet entails. So if you look at the animal, you will see that there is a design on the animal. It is the only animal in the world that is designed as a cross. So Jesus sitting there would have been entering via a cross. As I close, some unique characteristics of this amazing occasion. 1, it was the only crowd that Jesus didn't run from. 2, it was the most public hour of Jesus' life. 3, when compared to the 4 gospel scenario, all 4 gospels mention Palm Sunday. Only 2 gospels mention Christmas. But all 4 gospels put the weight on the value of Palm Sunday. The donkey ride alone is enough to show that it was intended and even planned by Jesus. But at the same time, he refused to restrain whatsoever was spontaneous. In other words, the extravagant praise and gesture of reception. And today is a day we have taken the time to allow people to express their extravagant worship unto the Lord in palm branches, in meals, in bringing of the fruits into the house, and even in wearing of our exotic hats, rather than a plain one or an exotic one. It was a day of great joy, and yet Jesus wept openly. It was a time of great reception and favor, and yet Jesus kept the day with an outburst of violence that moved his enemies to form an alliance against him. Jesus knew very well that the praises were directed towards him. He knew that the people recognized him as God's chosen Messiah. And yet he did nothing to hide the out worship that was to honor him. Palm Sunday in the original Jewish world extended for days. Jesus led the entire procession into the temple. The crowd kept coming to meet him for days. It was an event. The fitting paradoxes of this event would move us to understand what it meant to Jesus and what it meant to us today. When we look at Palm Sunday, and yes, we want to celebrate in our own way, Palm Sunday was important to Jesus. What we are doing today is important to Jesus. It is important to Jesus. The account clearly states that his followers failed to grasp the enormous significance of the event. These things his disciples did not understand at first, but when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things were written of him, and that they were done, and that they had done these things to him. John 12 and verse 16. What we are doing today, we are doing it for Jesus. It was an important day for him. These verses tells us to look at the event. It was a time when things had been done to him. Sometimes we all prepare a meal for one another. We all dress up to make sure we're looking good. But the Palm Sunday celebration is for him. Tell your neighbor, it is for him. It is for him. What did Jesus intend to accomplish by all the weeping, rejoicing, temple cleansing, and donkey riding? Because it made donkey sense. Was Jesus fulfilling prophecy? Of course. He fulfilled more than just Zechariah 9:9. Psalms 118 was shouted and sung. Several other scriptures in Jesus' Bible were alluded to and fulfilled. Jesus himself quoted Psalms 8, Isaiah 56, and Jeremiah 7 to explain what was unfolding. I think Jesus was doing more than just fulfilling prophecy. What was on Jesus' mind with great emotion was the fact that many of the leaders of Jerusalem were missing their hour of visitation. I know he said, how long I have tried to gather you as I can gather you. And he went over the city and he wept over the people. And right after that city got destroyed, and even today they continue to still look for the coming Messiah. They bought a donkey and a colt, Matthew 21:7. Placed the cloaks on him, and Jesus sat on them. And the crowd that went ahead of him, and those that followed, shouted, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest.